You're listening to New Retirement Radio, brought to you by the team at Prout Financial Design.
Hello, I'm your host, Certified Financial Planner, Dennis Prout.
I'm Heidi Cartwright, Financial Advisor and RICP.
Advisors associated with Prout Financial Design may be either 1. Registered representatives with and securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC, and investment advisor representatives of Integrated Partners, a registered investment advisor, or 2. Solely investment advisor representatives of Integrated Partners, a registered investment advisor and not affiliated with LPL Financial. Investment advice offered through Integrated Partners, a registered investment advisor. Integrated Partners and Prout Financial Design are separate entities from LPL Financial. Dennis Prout and Nathan Prout are solely investment advisor representatives of Integrated Partners and are not affiliated with LPL Financial. The opinions voiced in this show program are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriately qualified professional before making a decision.
WTCM News Talk 580. Welcome aboard to another edition of New Retirement Radio with Prout Financial Design. Joining us today, Mr. Dennis Prout. Good morning, sir.
Well, it is so good to be here. Thank you, Ron, on July 16, 2026. Thank you for tuning in with us. We appreciate all of you listening. Live here on Thursday morning. Of course, Saturday is the rebroadcast. How should someone contact us with a question, please, Ron?
If you are listening and somebody says something, I wonder how that works. If you have a question,
yes, sir,
you can call us live here, 947-0023. That's the 231 area code, 947-0023. Also, you can use that number to send us a text message or question, 947-0023.
Awesome. Thank you, Ron, and good to hear your voice. Now, before we get into who these folks are joining me here this morning, thank you for all the kind words from our 7-2 and 7-4 broadcast, if you will, our July 4th broadcast. Ron put a significant amount of time into that, and thank you too, sir.
My pleasure.
It was, it was. I listened to parts of it both days. It was inspiring. It was just really nice to hear that. And for the comments from our listeners, much appreciated too. Many emails and other comments. So it's much appreciated. I think it's going to be.
You all picked out a lot of that audio, those speeches and that.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. From previous times that we've done this, and frankly, I would say, speak for myself, but I speak for us all, we hope to improve on it next year. More and more information comes out, more and more publications are broadcast. I think we've got to choose amongst that. We'll try to make it even better next year.
Right. We listened to so many great things out there, and we just couldn't include everything that we loved. So we have some ideas for next year. We
love doing it, man. We're celebrating 250 years, and Heidi's got a piece here on America at 250 in 6 charts by Capital Group. I'm especially excited about that. And, of course, joining us, as you heard her voice, Heidi Cartwright. Good morning, our Executive Director.
Good morning, Dennis. It's my pleasure to be here, and I say a good morning to everyone out there in the smoky world we're in today.
The smoke. Yeah, so you go on the National Weather Service. What's it say?
It says to not go outside.
Don't go outside. It's smoke. Smoke today, this afternoon and this evening. I think it breaks up with some rain perhaps by Friday, Saturday. Hope, and hope and no change, perhaps a lot of change. Nathan Prout joining us, our Managing Director, too.
Good morning. It's great to be here in spite of the smoke outside.
Yeah. I went outside to get a smoke, and indeed I got one. Beth Shire joining us, too, our own Marketing Director. Good morning, Beth.
Good morning. Good morning to all of our listeners. And I do have to say I've had the strangest craving for a s'more the last couple days.
No kidding. Feels like sitting around a campfire, and it's not even lit. Yes. Right. It is wild. Just looking out over the lake. Nathan was commenting this morning as we drove in. Man, it's really hazy.
That's the worst I've ever seen it. We've had
Yeah.
this.
Me too.
Yeah.
It feels like the fire is in Wisconsin, and we're getting the smoke from there, not like far off Canada.
Northern Minnesota.
Yeah.
And
Is
Canada.
it northern
Yeah.
Minnesota as
And
well?
Canada. Yeah.
Okay. Seems very close.
International.
I was talking to a neighborhood friend, if you will, and he said, you know, I've got a fair number of Canadian cousins or relatives, and he said, they think it's all funny because they're sending all their smoke this way, and we can't do anything about it. So he said they get quite entertained by that.
No tariffs on
I was
smoke.
going to say, too bad we couldn't put a tariff on it. Yeah.
Exactly. So the heart of giving, I'm talking about that this morning. I'm talking about the heart of giving. And I'm doing my CPWA, continuing education, Certified Private Wealth Advisor, continuing ed. And I honestly always look forward to it because it's that good. It's really good. But this one was a breakout session to me. It's an hour long. I was talking to our own CPA about this. I said, man, we've got to watch this together. It's that powerful in terms of its hard-hitting information and the information that was shared, frankly, with me that I had never considered before, done by a CPA out of, I don't know where he's from anyway. Who cares? Anyway, a CPA. And he presented this information in such a way that I wanted to share it with you. I thought it was that significant. The person who may benefit most from giving is the donor, you, if indeed you're helping someone, whether it's assistance with volunteering or giving money. So it can serve two major areas. It doesn't necessarily have to come from the pocket directly. Generosity isn't just a financial decision, it's a habit that shapes who we are, strengthens relationships, and even improves our physical and emotional health. Oh, come on now. This isn't some kind of a sermon you're going to hear at the church, okay? Not that that would necessarily be bad, but it's not meant to be legalese or some kind of promise. It's just amazing what they're finding in terms of the stats. Scientists have found that people who regularly help others experience measurable physical health benefits. Research shows people who regularly support others tend to have lower resting blood pressure. Who would have thought? What? Yeah. Helping someone reduces stress hormones like cortisol. Those who frequently help others appear to be less affected by the harmful health effects of stress. Compassion and caregiving activate the body's calming nervous system. And after stressful events, helpers recover physically more quickly than those who don't regularly assist others. It helps us with perspective. It does.
You could have a commercial at the end. They'd say, ask your doctor about giving.
Yeah, no kidding.
Volunteering.
It's not something that, you can hang your hat on and say, I gave blood and so I feel better. It's amazing what it does for the brain in terms of giving as well, and we'll look at that in a moment. Generosity isn't just good for the soul, it appears to be good for the heart and body as well. So we have a physiognomic response. Is that the right word? I'm not quite sure. Giving improves mental health. Research is studying everyday acts of kindness, such as listening to someone's problems, offering encouragement, helping with errands, or simply being there during difficult times found consistent psychological benefits. I was mentioning to these guys, if you will, all as we were talking this morning and thinking about volunteering, and I can never think of the place.
Safe Harbor.
Safe Harbor, thank you. At Safe Harbor, and a conversation I had with a gentleman probably 2 years ago, never forgot it. He took full responsibility for the issues he was facing with his family, especially. I don't want to go into the details, but it was rough. But just the level of sadness and, remorse that he expressed, I'll never forget it. So, this volunteering thing really does help, I think, us all. People who regularly help others reported higher self-esteem, greater confidence in themselves, lower levels of stress and depression, stronger feelings of connection and social support. And then, believe it or not, giving can help you live longer. Fascinating study following adults age 55 and older for 5 years. The results were remarkable. Even after they accounted for age, existing health conditions, exercise habits, smoking, the benefit remained. People who volunteered with 2 or more charitable organizations had a significantly lower risk of dying during the study than those who didn't volunteer. And the key wasn't volunteering once in a while, it was making generosity a regular part of life. The benefits also remained after the study as well. So it can make a marked difference in our outlook and our physicality, if you will, our abilities to continue to be productive. Your brain loves generosity. Research has even placed volunteers in MRI brain scanners to see what happens inside the brain during giving. Participants experienced 3 situations. So this was interesting, too. Number 1, they received money. Well, who wouldn't be happy at that? Thank you very much. 2, money was taken through taxes and then donated to charity, so involuntarily. 3rd, they voluntarily chose to give money away. Speaking of money, not just volunteering, here's what surprised the researchers. All 3 situations activated the brain's reward center, of course, but, and you can circle that word if you will, voluntary giving produced the strongest response. Even more interesting, people whose brains responded most positively to giving were more likely to be generous again in the future. Your brain doesn't experience voluntary generosity as losing money. It experiences it as gaining something meaningful. So the times especially where we've had to sacrifice giving, it felt like a sacrifice. You can often look back on those times, and I've seen it. I've seen people who have sacrificed, and my own view of them and their perspective is it helped them focus so much on how they could possibly help that organization that it improved their overall mental outlook, and I think their lives. I think their lives as well.
It's interesting. People will put up GoFundMe crowd fundraisers online for like a family if they have a fire or somebody who was hurt and died and needs a funeral help.
Sure.
And you look at the donations, and they're anywhere, $10, $15, $20 up to $100 and above. So people can give at any level.
Right.
They probably still benefit with all those good feelings.
They do.
Yeah.
Because it helps them see the bigger world, and I would call it a universal law. If you're willing to say, I'm going to sacrifice something for this organization or this purpose, it expands your horizons beyond what anything you might understand or believe. I've seen it again and again in the people that we've talked to. And speaking of that, next week, we are going to have Ann Stanton on with the National Writer Series talking about, Heidi, do you want to share that?
Sure. We are
I'll put you on the spot. I'm sorry.
Yes,
I thought you do a better job than me. Thank you.
The National Writer Series is going to be offering a scholarship in my daughter Hope's name for writing, for students to receive a scholarship to go on and study writing and become journalists or some field of writing, poetry, fiction, whatever it is. So they are going to establish the scholarship, and we're going to have Ann on, and she's going to talk about the particulars. But it is a wonderful opportunity for a legacy for my daughter, and I'm very excited to be part of it. So
for your daughter Hope, who was
killed
in
a hit and run
accident in February. Was it February 16th? Yes, of this year. So thank you.
When you talk about the details next week, though, people will be able to donate to that fund?
That is correct.
The more you grow it, the more students can benefit, right?
Right. And our hope is that this will go on perpetuity. It will last And so her legacy will last into the future, and that is just very comforting for me to know that she could have that impact.
The Grand Traverse Community Foundation is the one that's receiving the funds. So as a foundation, they'll dispense the funds over the years after that is given to, if you will. So when buying things don't make us happy why buying things don't make us happy for long, we've all experienced it. You buy something new, a car, phone, a watch, and you're excited for a while. Then the excitement fades. Yeah. Psychologists called this hedonic adaptation. What a great word. Hedonic adaptation.
It's also called retail therapy, you know.
Retail
Rolls
therapy.
right off the tongue.
We went shopping today. We quickly get used to new possessions and they stop bringing us the same happiness. Researchers tested this idea with college students. So it definitely is the case. Giving breaks the cycle. A second group also received $5 each day, but there was one difference. They had to spend the money on someone else. So they had to figure out where to put that. And they had to actually engage the brain in that process. Their happiness increased on the first day. And unlike the first group, as their happiness decreased with receiving money through the week, their happiness stayed elevated throughout the week. They never experienced the usual decline in happiness. Giving to others creates a more lasting sense of satisfaction than simply spending money on ourselves. And the key point here, I think, of this whole thing is the closer you are, the greater the joy. Yeah. The closer a donor, someone who gives the money, feels to the person being helped, the greater the emotional reward. When donors can first meet the people they're helping, hear the stories, see the impact firsthand, and/or receive updates about lives that have changed, their own sense of fulfillment grows dramatically. So the closer they are to the real fight, if you will, or the real action, it makes a significant difference. And that's what we're seeing the next generation wanting to do. They don't want to give just to an institution. They want to give to areas or causes where they can see the results. Results driven. That is huge.
Are you on the board of the women that raised $300,000? What's that called?
Single moms.
Single moms. Yes, I am on their board.
But the group that raises
Impact
the money.
100.
Thank
Oh,
you.
Impact.
Are you?
that group too?
Yes. Yeah.
So isn't that one of their deals that they give the money out after a lot of research and then they follow up to see how it's being used?
We do. We have on-site visits, and it's great. I think Beth's gone to some. We were just out at Food Rescue a couple months ago, and we got to see the freezer that the money went to purchase, and able to see how much more they're able to take fresh fruits and vegetables and use this freezer or refrigerator and be able to distribute it. And so a lot of things that used to have to be thrown out or not used is now being able to be used. And seeing the result directly makes it so much more personal when you can see my money helped buy this and made this difference, and it's here right where you live. So it's exciting.
Gratifying.
Yes.
And exciting. Good job. So they needed a new freezer because they were overwhelmed with requests, in essence, for food.
Right. When they gave their talk at the event, they talked about how farmers would call them and say, hey, we have tomatoes, or we have cherries, or something like that they just had too much, or it wasn't going to be picked up. And now they can send their trucks out to get it. And now they have a refrigerator freezer where they can store that so that they can eventually distribute it instead of losing that opportunity because they had no refrigeration for
Much
it.
longer shelf life, in essence, for those goods. So thanks for listening. I think this is going to make a huge difference in terms of client involvement, in terms of what we all might help accomplish in being more methodical and thoughtful about our giving. That's the probably the last piece of info. We've skipped a tremendous amount of the information, but those who are more thoughtful and planning orientated about their giving and include the next generation, that's where it really gets exponential in terms of its power, because the next generation then spends their money much more wisely into the future, it creates a next generation and then the third generation that their success rate increases dramatically versus those who don't involve in direct giving.
So you make giving part of your family heritage.
The family heritage can make a significant difference. Donors want to experience their impact. The rise of structured giving, charitable planning is changing. It's amazing. The next generation, usually by the third generation, they're spending and or they're wasting the money significantly without having the corral, if you will, of having that structured giving around them, the discipline of having done that. Where otherwise, if they're involved in that sort of structured giving and expanding their worlds, it changes their outlook dramatically, and especially important for those with significant assets. And we're seeing more and more of that all the time. As the markets and saving increases the responsibility, so goes the dollar amounts too. So what that can mean, how that can help us all affect next generations is awesome.
Who was the Dell guy? Steve, with the guy that owned Dell Computer?
Yes.
He and his wife gave, I think, billions of dollars.
Six billion
into the Trump accounts for certain, I think, income levels.
Yeah. Michael Dell, I think is his name.
Yeah, Michael. Yeah. They're going to benefit from that for generations.
Oh, they will.
That's a lot.
Absolutely.
By the way, we going to say that's people do give. I mean, $592 billion a year in charitable giving. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, the amount of giving has declined in terms of percentages. It's gone from 90% to 80% of the population, but that 80% has increased their giving by 30% in the last 10 years. So the amount of giving has increased quite dramatically. So those who are participating are realizing the results and saying, listen, this is changing our lives. And why wouldn't we want to pass that down onto the next generation and the next after that? That's where the power is going to be, I think.
Yeah.
So
we did have one comment come in.
Sure.
Yeah, a friend of mine just started a place for new moms to learn to cook. Many new moms don't know how to cook. It's my understanding. I've not been there, and nor do I know anything about it. Is it over in Tawas? I'm not sure. I don't know.
I've not heard of that.
It looks like MSU has a class called Cooking Matters. It looks like it's in town and provided for free, but I don't know if that might be what.
If you get that info, can you send it to my wife?
No!
Oh.
She's not listening in, Ronald.
No, just kidding. My wife made.
Are you guys new parents, Ron?
She made a wonderful Asian chicken something or other last night. She's a good cook. That was just a cheap laugh.
Oh, my gosh.
Goodness.
Well, we'll see how things go for Ron tonight. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He didn't make it back next Thursday.
Yes, that's right. Great. Now, Heidi, America at 250 years. Tell us in charts. Yes.
That's right. So the patriotic theme that we had for our July 4th show, I found an article by Capital Group, which is American Funds, and they highlighted some economic ideas and stats that show the development of the United States over the last 250 years. And one of their observations was about population. So since the signing of the Declaration of Independence, the U.S. has grown from 13 colonies with a population of 2.5 million to a global superpower of roughly 340 million people. But when we look at that to the world population, we're really sort of small. We're only about 4% of the world's population. And some observations they made are that although we're only 4% of the world's population, 27% of the world's economic output is from the U.S.
20%?
27%.
27%. So we're 4% of the world, 27% of the production.
Mm-hmm.
So 83% of the world's top 100 most valued publicly traded companies are in the U.S.
87%.
83.
83. See, I gotta listen. I was busy watching that plane fly over there.
You sound distracted.
Yeah.
88% of the world's 50 most valuable sports franchises are in the U.S.
Wow.
And 98% of the highest grossing movies ever made came from the U.S. So we're really excelling in that film industry.
In only 250 years, we are a young country.
That is true.
Relatively young, absolutely. It's interesting. I was looking at a video for the CPWA again in terms of teaching a class on helping folks who are overseas investors. And she said by far the most efficient area to invest in still with the most advantages is the United States and the best oversight. So the best legal, the best, the least cost, as well as the most advantages in terms of varieties of markets is still by far in these United States of America.
So the article observes that this is an incredible level of influence for a relatively small share of the world's population. Let's look at some of the reasons for that. One of that is that we are early adopters in the U.S. We take on new inventions and we take hold of them and run with them. There is a willingness to look at these new ideas. An example of this would be the Erie Canal back in the early 1800s. It cut transportation costs by 90%, which is astounding.
Isn't that a mind blower?
90%.
I couldn't believe that.
People would have to get their oxen and their cows and try to travel over the mountains, and it would take forever if they even attempted it. And then they got a bunch of guys that dug a canal across half the state of New York. $7 million New York State paid for it. They got their money back plus interest in 3 years.
Wow.
3
So
years.
successful.
Wow.
And a lot of that fueled our growth here because some guys would, steamships could go from New York, from the ocean, they could get over to Michigan via Lake Erie, Lake Huron, Lake Michigan. And they'd go up around the straits and they had steamships and they needed fuel. They burned wood. So some smart guys would get out on Fox Island or Manitou Islands, build a dock, chop down trees. It was like Buc-ee's. I mean, the ships would stop and get fuel, wood, food, and then on their way to Chicago or vice versa. And then a lot of families would move their cattle, their farm goods, their families on these boats down the Erie Canal into the Great Lakes up to northern Michigan. So it really fueled our growth.
The early minivan, the barge.
Yeah, exactly.
Just throw everything in and off you go.
Boom.
Yeah, we were still singing that song when I was in elementary school.
Yeah.
Shows how long that goes. 15 miles on the Erie Canal.
Yeah.
She's a good worker and a good old pal.
Sal.
15 miles on the Erie Canal. Whatever that was. Yeah, go ahead, Heidi, please.
All right. Another invention that transformed things were railroads. And so we really took hold of that to connect our country, our large country, from east to west with the railroads. Automobiles, another transformative idea that Americans took hold of.
Yeah.
Telephones, another one. Then we look at computers, which revolutionized business and communication.
It still is, of course.
And then this wasn't on their list, but I wanted to add smartphones. Smartphones have transformed the way we communicate.
It's incredible.
We have information at our fingertips no matter where we are. It's crazy.
It's amazing.
And so we're in another one of those periods of time with artificial intelligence, of new innovation that we are trying to excel and be the leader in that area in this country.
As disconcerting sometimes and scary as it is, and I recognize that, I really do, the opportunity at the same time is absolutely significant in terms of power in computing and ability to solve problems. It's going to revolutionize all of that, and it already is. but it's only going to continue to do so, given the amount of investment that's going into that. Significant dollars, absolute.
Okay, so another thing the U.S. has developed is, for decades, the U.S. dollar has been the world's primary reserve currency. So there is no official world currency out there, but the U.S. dollar functions as the de facto global standard in that area. So you may say to me, well, great, Heidi, more stats. Why does that matter? Well, it matters because banks hold dollars as reserves, and this helps us in international trade, and it gives us an advantage in trade deals. All the things we're hearing about now with tariffs, that all goes into the equation of why we have the influence to be able to move some of those levers. Also, a lot of countries will buy U.S. Treasury securities because of our currency. So people look to the United States during times of financial uncertainty because of the place we hold. Because we are the world's primary reserve currency, it has allowed America to borrow money more cheaply than many other nations. And so in that way, it strengthens our influence as well. Now, could this change? Nathan asked me this question this morning. Well, is it like that, or can it change? Can something happen? And the answer is yes, possibly. I mean, the British pound used to be the world's primary currency or reserve currency. And now the dollar is since about World War II. So no other currency right now at this current time appears to be close to replacing us. But it could happen depending on how different countries' economies work.
If we lose our freedoms and or the ability to continue to create, or it's controlled through too much outward, if you will, oversight, whether it's politics or government or others who would try to control the wealth, the created. That's, I think, what our biggest threat is socialism and communism, because they not only intend to control the form of production, but also the means, if you will, to such an extent that it kills creativity. Yeah. And the creativity is what's driven by the eventual hope that is going to help to create wealth for that individual, as exactly as it has. And so trying to control that or legislate that control is what always will fail that sort of creativity and that economy.
Socialism seems like it's concerned with controlling the wealth that's been created,
yes,
not in creating more wealth.
Right. It controls, and then it has to control people as well.
Yeah.
So while we're not seeing that right now, in terms of the United States, that the socialists who are out there right now don't see the negative sides of that, and that what it's really producing is control in the political and government realm, instead of ceding or allowing the populace to continue to have control over their own lives, which is what the Declaration of Independence was about. So, it is a constricting effect. They continually try to control more. And seeing that up close and personal as I crossed Checkpoint Charlie when I was 18 years old, you never forget how much control they had to try to exert over their populace to keep them within that society. And that's exactly what socialism and communism is going to attempt to do, is to control their population, exert more and more control so that they can effect change for themselves, for those who are in power. And that's where the real negative is.
And that is such a great segue into the next point, which is that another reason for America's success is its unique innovation ecosystem. So what is the innovation ecosystem? It's universities conduct groundbreaking research. We have entrepreneurs that launch new companies from these ideas. Investors provide capital to help fund this, and businesses scale ideas into global products. So all of these pieces reinforce each other, and that makes up our unique innovation ecosystem here in the U.S. Another strong point for the U.S. is our deep resources, natural resources. We are a resource-rich country. We have lots of farmland. We have a lot of natural resources at our disposal. And one example of using this ecosystem is the oil and gas industry, on how fracking came into in the early 2000s, and this hydraulic fracking allowed us to get even more oil and gas out of the earth, which has allowed us to become more independent for energy needs. And so it changed the whole landscape of that international dependence. And so this is just one example of all those systems coming in to work together for that.
We are number one in oil and gas production, USA.
I know, it's amazing.
It's incredible. The change that's taken place since the 70s, when the Strait of Hormuz would have killed us in terms of our own economy. And now in these United States, it's caused a blip, an increase in price, but not nearly what it would have been compared to the 70s.
Yeah, I can remember as a little girl, my dad going to the gas station. He'd be taking a novel with him, and he'd go to wait in line because you could only get gas, like if your license plate was on an odd day or an even day. It was a big deal just to fill up the car. So, yeah.
Gas rationing, 70s.
You bet. Is that about it, Heidi, or do you have any other points?
I have a few more points if we have time for that.
We can.
Okay. One is looking at research. The research in our ecosystem has helped us make advances in vaccines and cancer treatments and surgical techniques. So all these healthcare areas are affected as well. And then the stock market is another one of the U.S.'s strengths. It shows we have resilience in our markets, and we have patient investors. We've gone through a lot of ups and downs and challenges in the stock market. The Great Depression, World War II. We've had energy shocks that have upset the markets. We've had inflation, top periods of really high inflation. We had the financial crisis back in 2008, 2009, .com. It goes on, COVID. But the market has been resilient after all of these. And the lesson is that the patient investor who stays focused on the long term have historically been rewarded through the power of that topic that Dennis really likes, compounding.
Compounding returns, the phenomenon that we can't get away from. Einstein called it man's, I think, 8th greatest invention, something like that. Great stuff. All right, let's go to Michigan tax.
That's
Michigan.
right.
Yeah.
So the Lowering Michigan Cost Plan, which was passed in 2023, introduced a phase-in, or phase-out, I should say, on state taxes primarily related to pensions. And this is the first year where up to 100% of that can be exempt from state taxes. So the bottom line here is Michigan has become much more retirement friendly. If you're retired or planning to retire soon, it may be worth taking another look at your Michigan tax return. So by tax year 2026, you can subtract 100% of eligible pension, IRA, and 401k income up to inflation-adjusted limits. And Social Security, which has always been exempt from Michigan state taxes, doesn't count in that equation as you're doing your math here. So
in Michigan, Social Security income has never been taxed or hasn't been taxed?
Not at the state level, no.
Okay.
Yeah, it's free from state tax.
Yep.
Michigan state tax.
But if you take income from at least like a pension or something else, that
historically has been taxed, but it started phasing out in 23. And 26, we are at the 100% phase out. So for tax year 25, the private pension limit was about $66,000 for single and married filing separate filers, and about $132,000 for joint filers. And those numbers will be adjusted when it comes time to do your taxes for 2026. But that meant that means if your pension, IRA income, 401k income is under those limits, you will not have to pay state taxes on it.
So Nathan, this would go towards people who may be having taxes withheld from some of those kinds of payments. Maybe they want to relook at that.
That's correct. Yeah, and the age range, I believe, actually you have that chart, Dennis.
Yeah.
So what is the age range for this?
Well, previously, 1945 and before or after were the ones that got the best bang, but now it's for everyone. Everyone, there is no age limit anymore on
That's
this
right.
full ability for someone in the state of Michigan. In essence, they're trying to staunch the flow of retirees leaving the state of Michigan because they were having to pay state income tax. There comes the good old competitiveness, if you will, of other states and their own tax rates. Michigan got the notice, our legislators did, that if they didn't do something, that was only going to continue. So,
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, this is your song. I was going to wrap up a little bit with your song.
Yeah,
But
this is toward the end of the song,
Yeah.
and they're actually quoting parts of the Declaration of Independence there. Yeah.
Well, we've got about 30 seconds, maybe hear some of that. But thanks again, Prout Financial Design, Dennis, Heidi, Nathan, Beth. Prout Financial Design, Traverse City, Michigan, on the web at proutfinancialdesign.com.
Thank you, Ron.
All
Thanks,
right.
Ron.
Thanks, Ron.
Thank you, Ron.